3 ways to control your communication with customers. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We're going to talk about 3 ways to control communication with your customers. The problem is, right now, in this crazy, wacky world, you can't depend on anything, all right? Especially when it comes to communication with your customers. If you're running through any type of retail situation, like via Amazon.com, if you're selling items through a third-party website or through a physical retail location, you don't own communication with your customers. You've got to go through them most of the time to even find out who your customers are. If you know who your customers are, then quite possibly the place where you communicate with them the most is via social media. It's very, very common. But you don't own that. You don't own any of it, right? It can go away at any time. You can get kicked off at any time. You say, yeah, but Brian, I'm not political. I'm not this. I'm not that. And I get that. But you don't know how long that's going to last. And you don't know when you'll fall into a situation where, I don't know, something crazy happens and their whole system gets corrupted. You know, one website, their system gets corrupted. I know they've got backups and everything else, but there's ways that these things can be messed up. There's always a way for something to get messed up. And you don't want to be on the end of that to where you don't have control over it. How do you gain control? How do you get that back in hand so that you have the direct communication with your customers? It's the one major thing that I harp on immediately when I'm working with a new client, is to make sure they have ongoing communication with their customers. And that comes from a list. That comes from owning a list, having a list of people that you know have bought from you, have the potential to buy from you, or eventually may buy from you or bought from you at one time. Having those lists in place and having at least one way to communicate with them. What are the 3 ways? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I can't believe how many companies do not go after these 3 things. First one, email. That's the most common. It's also the one that's the least likely for you to be able to reach somebody, because people just ignore their emails. They'll let it pile up. They'll let it self-delete. They'll let it go to spam. There's a million things that can go wrong with email, and it does constantly. Anyone that works with email on a regular basis knows that email is not dependable. Certainly not for communication. It's something, but it's not everything. The 2 others are major, and they get ignored constantly. The second one, phone number. Okay, phone number is very, very uncommon for people to gather, but it is so powerful to have. Not just because you want to spam them with text messages, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you want to be able to communicate via text if they have the ability to, but maybe you want to send out a broadcast phone call. Have you ever done that? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever had it done to you to where you're getting a robo recording, but it's something that you expected? You're not just sending it out because somebody gave you their phone number. You're letting them know, hey, we send these out once a week, once a month. Every time something special happens, that they're signing up for a specific broadcast phone call. These are inexpensive to purchase in comparison to a whole lot of other things, and it's a way to get directly in front of the person. People tend to listen to their voicemail, especially if it's from somebody that they don't recognize the name. And after they recognize the name, if you've got entertainment to be able to send out, sending it via the phone is huge. Number 3, this is a major one. What is it? It's mail. It's a mailing address. You have a mailing address. You've got something that hardly anybody besides really good direct mail marketers understand the ability for this. People who have companies that have dealt with catalogs and direct to consumer, if they haven't been doing that for a very long period of time, if you're an e-commerce company, chances are you are not capturing people's home addresses or mailing addresses if they have something other than their home. It's important. It is massively important, because just think about it. You grab your mail from your mailbox. You look at it. It's the old thing Gary Halbert used to talk about, the A and the B pile. You take all the ones out that look like garbage and you toss them, and you keep everything that just might possibly be something. Okay, there's a way to get into that pile, and there's a way to keep getting into that pile from that point forward, especially if they're expecting it, especially if you tell them you're sending them something physical and you're starting on an online basis and then you're going offline with something physical. It brings a whole new dimension to your communication with that person. Even more powerful than email, even more, definitely more powerful than a phone call, is having a physical piece. I don't care if it's a postcard. I don't care if it's just a basic envelope with a handwritten address on it. You send them something like that. You send them something physical, and you're guaranteed eyeballs. They may not open it. They may not look at it long, but you're going to get a whole lot more. It's definitely more, you're going to get more return off of doing that on top of the other two. Okay, so those are the three ways. Those are the three ways that you can break free, because when you have those, you're on one-on-one communication with the person. In fact, you got a phone call, you can get in conversation with the person, which is tough to do with email. It's tough to do even with physical mail, but you get on a one-on-one conversation just by calling them. And if they pick up, you've got it made. Or if you get them to call you back, you've got it made. These are big things, and you don't want to be dependent on social media. You don't want to be dependent on every other thing that they make easy. Just because it's easy, and really because it's easy, doesn't mean it's a good thing, and doesn't mean it's going to last. So keep that in mind when you're sitting back and looking at, okay, how do we really make this thing hum, and how do we make it to where it's bulletproof in the long run? That's how you do it. Those are some major deals when it comes to communication. If you're looking for more strategies to be able to help you to really make your business bulletproof against competition, against the big guys, against intrusion from corporations, government, anything else, go grab my book, 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. You can get a free copy at AmazonProofBook.com. We'll be back here tomorrow night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.